push the button so that it turns green so that we can hear and everybody on Zoom and YouTube can hear. All right. Good morning. Happy November. We will speed through a few things at the start of the meeting so that we can focus the bulk of the meeting on our grant applications. So meeting minutes are requested to postpone.
Yes. We do not have
Cool.
them yet. My apologies.
We'll
So
postpone.
separate meeting.
All
we'll have
good.
to set.
Okay, cool. I don't have anything to report today. Financial report. Does anybody have any questions about how much money we have? Okay. Cool. Committee reports. This might also be very quick. Do we have anything additional from October?
We did not meet, so nothing to report, other than we need to schedule a postmortem meeting in November.
Great. That sounds good. Cultural assets.
Nothing to report.
And grant committee, we will do a whole big thing. All right. If no one has any other questions before we dive into the grants, let's get started. So grant committee met. You don't have to share your recommendations at the start. Why don't we go through, you had a couple of questions for a few of the applicants. And we usually do invite anybody who's here to come say a sentence or two about your project. So let's do that. We'll just go in order of how they are here, which I think is alpha. If that works for everybody. Is anybody from the Bangor Authors Collaborative here? I think so.
He's not able to be here.
Okay.
But I do have a response to his question.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Sure, my mic is on also. All right, so I reached out to him with the grant committee's questions, and his response was that currently they do not have pledges to cover their specific shortfall. But their current plan, which has been approved by the library who's hosting the event, is to collect donations at the fair. They expect to receive at least $200 in donations at the fair this year. And then he also just mentioned that 3 years ago, before they had it at the library, it was at the UUSB church basement. And at that event, they were able to have volunteer collected donations that paid for both the rent and insurance, just as a historical context for what they've been able to collect in the past.
All right. Then Bangor Symphony Orchestra. We do have some representatives. If you could come to the table and sit sort of near a mic, I think we'll use that chair. And just make sure you turn on the microphone before you say. There's the fancy button.
I can. Sorry. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So my name is Renia Sturenberg. I'm the Executive Director of the Bangor Symphony Orchestra. I hope you can all hear me on the Zoom. And I want to thank you for allowing us to make this grant proposal and for inviting us to speak today. I just wanted to speak ever so briefly about the project that we applied for. We are trying to make this chamber music series another pillar of our organization. This germinated 3 years ago when we departed the Bangor Arts Exchange and we had a grand piano there. We were looking for a home for it, and we had a collaboration with the Wabanaki Public Health and Wellness. We moved our piano there, and we have an agreement with them to keep the piano in their space, and that we would do concerts there, and that they could use it for concerts there themselves and for their youth. And this has been a beautiful collaboration. The first year we did that was 2 years ago, not counting this year. We did one concert there. And then last year we applied for a grant from this commission to expand that through our music and wellness program and make these free, open to the public lunchtime concerts. We received a grant and we were able to expand that to 2 concerts with that grant. And then with support from this commission, this year we are expanding again to 4 concerts, one in the fall, one in the winter, one in the spring, which is in our proposal. At the time we made this proposal, they were not confirmed, but now they are all 4 confirmed. And we do have additional support from Bangor Savings Bank that just came in the amount of $2,500. And so we are looking for community support, individual support to make this project sustainable, right? To make sure that it continues, that it's not a one-off. We are growing year over year. And it's a way for us to bring our musicians directly into the Bangor community for free, open to the public, classical concerts.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions, or did the committee have any questions?
We did have a question about the Bangor Savings Bank contribution, which you answered. So
Yep.
That's good. I think we were wondering what Versant Power was giving. Was it $500?
So Versant Power gives us $5,000 in support of the Music and Wellness Program. That program functions mostly in the hospitals, although we are using this chamber music series as a way to grow the Music and Wellness Program. So we will dedicate a percentage of that gift to this program as well, but it'll be a small percent because they're more interested in seeing us go directly into the hospitals, but they recognize that the gift is for the entire program.
I'm sorry, I stepped away for a second to close the door, but one of our other questions was about the travel and hotel costs.
Mhm.
Did you address that already and I missed it? Okay, so there are some travel and hotel costs on your expenses and we were curious who that was for. Are you bringing in artists?
Oh, so the musicians that perform with the Bangor Symphony Orchestra, most of them do not live in Bangor or the greater Bangor area. So yes, those travel costs and hotel costs are for our musicians to come in. Now, we did put these concerts right up against our symphony weekend concerts. So we are trying to make that kind of latched all into the 1 4-day period for our musicians who are traveling up from Boston or traveling over from Vermont or flying in from New York. Over 85% of our musicians come from away. So it is a way for us to offset those costs of their travel. But if they're coming in for the concert anyway, those costs will diminish and there'll be a lower percent for those musicians.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
I believe that's all the questions that we were coming from the grant committee at this time.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thanks again for your
Thank
time.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, then we will ask the Penobscot Theater Company to come join the table.
Hello, everyone. Hi, my name is Jen Shepard. I'm the Artistic Director of Penobscot Theater Company. Thanks for allowing me to speak with you today and for the chance to apply for the grant. I applied to support our project of a dual bill of John Cariani's play, Almost Maine, his most well-known work, and then Dark of the Night, which is his newest play. This is a great opportunity. Mr. Cariani himself wants to come and work with both productions. For Almost Maine, it would be at the beginning of the rehearsal period, and for Dark of the Night, it will be actually the week when the two shows are running in rep. And what that means is, for example, on Wednesday night, it would be Dark of the Night, and on Thursday, it would be Almost Maine, and Mr. Cariani will be present during that week. He's also still working on Dark of the Night. It is not yet published, although it is scheduled to be published. So part of what he would be looking at is what works, what doesn't, and then this will finalize and set the final version of the play, which is kind of a cool opportunity for us. Will be mentioned as one of the 3 places where the developmental productions took place. So I'm asking for support to bring John here, as well as support for the productions itself, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Oh, love that. I was just studying up, so perfect.
Have any questions? All right, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then Robinson Ballet is next up on our list.
Well, I was told that I would not have to present anything, so I really don't have anything.
Two. You don't
But
have
do you
to.
guys have any questions? Is basically it's for the kids' spring show. They're doing something like Peter and the Wolf to the music, but something a little bit different. Just looking for assistance and ticket prices to get as many kids in as possible. I think discounted tickets for all the elementary kids in Bangor and some things like that. Anybody have any questions?
Do you have any questions?
I did send that to Holly. Let me just bring it up in my email here. Bear with me one quick second. Because they did provide that information.
And this isn't to put you on the spot. This is just, we're offering everybody the chance to speak and answer
Okay.
questions, so.
Steve said, and you won't have to present it.
Um,
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. I was mistaken. I do not have that information. It was a different grant applicant that I had.
Do you need a budget? Stevie sent me the budget.
Was there a, you all had a question? Holly had a question?
Yes, I think it was just, there were some pieces that it seemed like were perhaps missing, like the budget breakdown. So if you could forward that
Okay.
to Sarah.
Yep.
That would be fantastic. So that
Okay.
we can have that with our files.
Okay, I've got a paper copy. I'll just give it to her.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. While she does that, do we have a representative from some theater company?
They are not able to be here today, but I do have their budget breakdown. That's the one that I was thinking of. So, would it be, more helpful for you guys if I stepped out for just a few minutes and made photocopies of both this one and the Some Theater Company one?
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Just give me a few minutes.
Great. In that case, we will pause the grant conversation for a few minutes. You all don't have to stay. We will deliberate, and whatever we decide here still has to go to city council for approval anyway. Cool, yeah. Why don't we take these minutes and jump ahead? We have some representatives here from the Wabanaki Veterans Memorial Project. Is that right? Cool. Would one or more of you, we can pull up chairs. It's just whoever speaks has to be close to the mic, but feel free to come join the table so that it can be official. We'd love to hear about your project.
Hi, great. Thank you for entertaining us. My name is Steve Ribble. I'm a landscape architect with Context by Design. I keep offices in Winter Harbor. And prior to that, I lived in Bangor, and I was actually one of the founding commissioners of this body and the second chair. So it's very, very exciting for me to see that this thing's still going and alive and in a nice new place. We were upstairs. So in any event, the committee, and we do have two members of the committee that each represent a different tribe in the nation. Several years ago, a medic, combat medic from World War II, Charles Shea, put forth a request for recognition for the contributions that the Wabanaki had made throughout the, I don't even know how to say this, the European, the discovery of what we now call the Americas. And this memorial would represent all of the contributions that the indigenous peoples made to the defense and the protection of this country that we now know as the United States. So it's not just a place in time, it's pre-Revolutionary War, Revolutionary War, Civil War, 1812, World War I, World War II. Charles Shea is currently 101 years old, and he is one of the oldest survivors of World War II in Omaha Beach. He lives in France because they have better medical care for him. His nephew is here, Tim Shea. And we, as a committee, this has been authorized through state legislature, that this memorial shall happen. We as a committee need to, and not just the committee, but the nation needs to do the fundraising for it. It's not funded by the state, and nor are we asking the city for funds, at least at this time. And we initially had planned to put the memorial next to the Vietnam Memorial on the Capitol Mall in Augusta, and they weren't very receptive. And after 3 years of banging our heads against that wall, we came to the city of Bangor and found welcoming arms. We have talked with Ann Craig and Tracy Willett. Tracy actually recommended 200 Broad Street as a place that this memorial could go. He also, both of them also cited that there's precedent for us to request the use of this space pending our fundraising ability to erect the memorial. It was very strongly felt by the committee that until we actually have a place for the memorial, that we shouldn't go out and try to raise money, because that, it just, you know, it's kind of a bait and switch thing that, you know, hey, we're going to build this in Augusta. Oh, no, now we're in Bangor. And people might not want to do that. Currently, we've had a $10,000 grant from Maine Arts Commission to fund the initial modeling and development design work for a concept for the memorial, which is done by Tim Shea, again, the nephew of Charles Shea. And we have a pledge of another $10,000 for site development plans and whatnot that we'll use for fundraising. That's based again on making sure that we have a location to do this. And then we'll go forward with that. I think that kind of brings us up to date with what I can tell you. Happy to answer any questions that we can answer. But we do request your favorable recommendation to the council that we erect a memorial here. And I believe I should have said earlier, you've probably seen in your packets that the memorial consists of, it's basically a 50-foot circle, diameter circle with 7 standing stones, which is significant in the Wabanaki history. And this orients towards the summer solstice, which also coincides with the Maine Wabanaki Veterans Recognition? Veterans Recognition Day. Yes. Thank you, Darren. So that's what we're asking to do. Some of those pieces, parts are still in conceptual stage, but we'd be happy to come back if that's a concern.
We do have drawings and a plan in our packet. Does anybody on the commission have any questions?
I have a question. So thanks for coming, Steve, representing the project. I would strongly believe that you're all aware that the space being recommended once called a memorial to a Portuguese explorer.
Yes.
Okay, and does that positively or negatively influence thoughts about that property or anything like that?
It was actually favorably. I was nervous when we found this out because it wasn't our first site here. And then we found out that the site on the waterfront we wanted was already earmarked for another thing. And I was a little nervous about bringing that forward to the committee. When I did, it was very favorably received that we can, how do I want to say this? not pave over, that's really not anywhere where I'm trying to go with it, but that we can use this memorial to stand in place of that, which apparently there were some very, the Gomez expedition was not favorably, they didn't treat the natives well. Yeah. But in any event, yes, it's seen as a positive thing that we can be on that spot. And it's almost exactly on that spot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a statement pretty much, but as a veteran, it's, you know, right now, this day and time, like in this current administration, a lot of veterans, like services being, you know, discounted based on your, whether it's your race, your ethnicity, or anything, you know, other than the status quo, like women veterans right now, for example, or, you know, online, our services being erased. So I think it's very important. That being said, the amount that the project would end up costing in the end, like, I mean, at this day and time, like, there's millions of Americans that are worried about feeding themselves. Like, so I just feel like, you know, that money could be spent in a different way at this time, but I am 100% for it. So I just had to say that.
Sure.
So.
I think 2 years ago, Holly and I, as part of this commission, had conversations with Lisa Sakabasan from the Wabanaki Biblical Health and Wellness and about using that space in particular for
Yeah.
some native memorial, something where we could work together. So I think this is awesome.
Yeah.
I think this is exactly the right thing to do in that location. I mean, right, fundraising is always difficult, but I agree it's going to be easier to fundraise if you have commitment of a location.
Yes.
And I think there are many organizations and people who have money to give and who give money to both food and food organizations and also other things. So to me, that's not a reason to not support this project. I think it's good to be aware always of the climate that we're in and the organizations, the people who need help. But I would like to fully support this project. I think this is a great idea. I think this is the right kind of thing for our town, for the state. I'd love to, you know, have Bangor be a leader in who we recognize and the types of memorials that we put up. So I would be excited to support this.
Great. Thank you.
Any other?
Quick question. Tell me, it lines up with the summer solstice, as you said?
The orientation that we will,
So it's gonna, like the sunset on the solstice is gonna go between the stones? Is that the idea?
sort of, the way stones are aligned, 7 stones, like the 8th one is missing. If you would, if you imagine
I
there were
can see
8, and that's where it lines up. And it's also very close, and I haven't done a forensic analysis of it, but very close to the confluence of the Kenduskeag and the Penobscot. And the rivers are very important to the Wabanaki. So it really kind of, it wasn't initially planned, but as Tracy and I looked at the property, it just all started to click. Yeah. And it was very close to that date. I think you went out and took some photos. We were down on the waterfront, but it was like 2 days before the solstice or something when.
Cool. I think we vote to show our support. Okay.
Should probably step out then.
No,
Oh,
that's
good.
Can I ask a final question?
yeah,
As
of
you
course.
said that? So looking at the design, it looks like, I don't know if there's a design for the entire half acre or acre of all of that green space, or if it's really just for the memorial itself. Is this project, you know, encompassing that entire green space?
Uh,
No other site work or anything?
To be determined. We'd want to have walks in there. There's already a couple of area lights. They may or may not be appropriate. Some of the things that we're imagining are, there'd be QR codes and things that people could understand more or go to websites and things and learn more about the various things. Each of the stones represents a different tribe within the nation. I mean, there's just, so how the benches and the other things around it work, I'm not sure. As a public design professional, my first and foremost concerns are always for public safety. So, we don't want to put a bunch of shrubs and things, although it might be pretty. And I think it would be great to have, a very naturalistic setting around this. I also am concerned about, safety and things, people hiding in the bushes type of thing. So we haven't got there yet to answer your question. Yeah.
All right. I'd like to call for a motion.
I move that we approve this and send it on to city council. We are breaking two seats.
Second. Thank you. All in favor? All right.
Thank you very much.
You, please keep us posted.
Will do.
All right. And with that, let's circle back to our grant conversation. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. This one is, okay. I suppose, grants committee, do these budget updates answer your questions?
Yes, or at least for me, they do. Yes, for me, they do. We really didn't have a lot of information as far as the income and expenses for these two. So it's great to have these now to add to their packets and complete those packets.
All right. Does anybody have questions or points they'd like to discuss before we hear what the grants committee is recommending? All right, grants committee, what do you think?
So for the Bangor Symphony Orchestra, you want to, like, the amount that we're recommending?
Yeah, let's go
Okay.
through all the amounts
Yeah.
so that then we have the full picture and we can
Yeah,
discuss.
so they requested 5,000, and so we recommended that we fund it in partial, so we would give $3,000. Bangor Author Collaborative, they requested 1,500, and we were going to recommend funding that in full, $1,500. Some theater company requested 2,000, and we recommend funding that in full as well. Was it 2,000 or?
I
2,500,
think,
I'm sorry.
yes, theirs was 2,000.
Okay. Sorry, there was a typo in my notes. We were gonna recommend funding that in full, the $2,000 as well. Penobscot Theater, which requested 5,000, we were going to fund that in half, so 2,500. And then Robinson Ballet, they requested 5,000, and we were going to recommend funding that in partial of 1,500. So the potential amount in total would be $10,500. So pretty much
Yeah,
halfway down the middle.
and we have,
Spring as well.
just confirming that I'm reading our budget correctly, that we've got the 20,081 plus 1448, the green from the second page, or no?
So the second page is, what is.
It's left from
for-
October.
Yes, so.
Flowers.
So Your leftover October budget is, yes, the 1448.30. So
Okay.
you could, if you decide to in either grant cycle, reallocate that to grant.
Was there not any?
PTC's been slow with the bill.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we shouldn't spend that.
So we shouldn't
I-
spend the 1438.
No, I mean, I think you're spending. Trying to remember if there was a second or third expense. I mean, there was a de minimis expense. The e-bike was like $68. Theater was 1,000.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
think there was a third piece, but if there was, it
Don't
was
think
small.
so either. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Let's,
Oh, the art award. So,
that's,
I mean-
that's in there. That's been paid.
okay, that's
Yeah,
been paid.
and the
Okay.
Flowers.
Yeah.
paid.
So I have another
Okay.
1,068
So-
to come out.
Great, so my recommendation would be to not touch the 1448. Save whatever ends up being left over from that for the spring. But I do think that means we can go just above the 10,000, like the 10,500.
Yep.
Seems like an okay middle-ish point, because it likely will be that we have about 400, 350 left for spring.
We add that because they did have a.
So the goal when we were meeting, because we know that we tend to get the larger requests here in this first part of the cycle, and some smaller ones. So our goal was to stay at least under 12,000. And when we went through the requests and things like that, the numbers that we landed on were after, kind of deliberating on the different things, and the quality of the applications as well. So that is a little bit about how we decided we were going to allocate the money.
What was the actual total?
10,000.
Okay, great. All right, any questions?
I think that's pretty fair, though, if we're gonna do 2 cycles, to have it be half and
As
half.
close as possible to
Yeah.
half and half.
I agree with that. I mean, right, at the moment, anybody who applies in the fall can't apply in the spring, but they all know that, and they ask for the amount they ask for with that knowledge. I also think it is fair, right? It's easier to fund some of the ones who ask for less money fully, and to give those who ask for more partially, and it seems close to even. Were there any points of discussion that you feel like we should discuss as a whole commission?
I don't think there was anything that came up during our meeting that we felt like we needed to come back and, other than the questions that we had for the individuals and making sure that we got the income expense reports from these two.
Okay. No thoughts, no questions?
These numbers to someone.
We need to vote on it, and then you can send it to Sarah.
Okay.
So I would like to call for, I don't think I can make.
No,
I can't. One day I will figure out Robert's. Okay. I call for a motion.
be the motion.
That's right.
I move we accept the recommendation of the grants committee, giving $1,500 to the Bangor Officers Collaborative, $3,000 to the Bangor Symphony, $2,500 to Penobscot Theater, $1,500 to Robinson Ballet, and $2,000 to some theater company.
Great. All in favor? You can't vote.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, acknowledging I have a conflict of interest actively with PTCs.
Yep.
Great
All right.
work, though. Great work to the committee.
We pass. All in favor? Now you can send those numbers to Sarah.
But I will say that I am sorry that we cannot fund these. We need to find some way to get more money to our organization.
Yes. I agree.
Agreed.
We talked about that and asked if, we could, because this is the amount that we've gotten since the 90s. Am I correct in saying that, or?
Mid-2000s, I think. Right, yeah, it's been, right, we have been getting the same amount for many, many years. And there was a short time where we got slightly more during the pandemic, and it's been lowered again. And we ask for more every year. I am totally open to any ideas and strategies that anybody has. We can make it an agenda item officially, but if anybody wants to send me thoughts, feel free. We'll see if next year's budget committee is more favorable.
I do think
Um,
that, because I had looked into that possible grant through the Maine Arts Commission.
Yes.
And your minimum yearly budget for them is 25,000. I think even if the city was funding us at 25,000, it would open us up to other opportunities that
That's a
we could
great-
then search for to
Yeah.
help supplement the funds.
I think that's a really good point, and I'll make a note of that for the next time we have to defend our ends of the money. The budget cycle, the way it works is that sometime in April or May, usually May, one of us, or as many as are willing to go, but I have to go ask for money. And as much supporting information we can have and kind of reasoning for why we're asking for what we're asking for.
And I think that these grant applications are also good supporting documents to show what the need is in the communities. And we'll have the second round as well by then.
This year, we presented it as, here's what we've been asked for every year, and here's what we're able to give, and that difference, and that's why we asked for more money. We will keep doing that for sure. I think, right, actual numbers and data is really great to support why we're asking for money. One thing I also like, which is at the moment more anecdotal, but information about how many different people we support in our town with that money. It's not just these organizations. It's not just the people who run these organizations. It's all the people who can attend to these events. And all these events that end up being more affordable or free that are being created in town with support from this money. And so kind of that showing that impact in town more. So if anybody has ideas of how to track that better, I would love to talk about that more. I suppose that is sort of a chair update. We'll do that now. Speaking of other grants, we did apply. Thank you for helping with that.
I didn't know what I mean.
No, it's fine.
I haven't written
ended
something
up-
like that in years, and I was like, okay, I'm
was
just
great.
bring it.
Yeah.
so.
It was great, but we didn't actually end up needing ours, which is great because I did not have time. But we, with support from Jay Martin and Joe Pickering, applied for a statewide grant to support that project. So hopefully we will get that. I think it's a great project for that grant. It really was like textbook what they were hoping to fund, at least based on the documentation. So, and Jay wrote a great application that we submitted last week. So I don't think we're going to hear for a while, I don't know when, but it's sometime in January probably. I did also, this is something I need to talk with Anne more about next week when she's back. We heard from the NEA grant that we were deemed ineligible because we don't have 5 years of arts programming, which we did and we proved in the application. So I'm not sure what if they were looking for maybe more an arts organization that has like consistent yearly programming. But I will figure out more on that next week. But again, still, if anybody sees any grants that they think might be relevant, send them my way, send them Jess's way. We will all figure out. Yeah, we can apply to grants at any point. We do need a few weeks because we have to ask for council's permission each time. But if we can get support in putting it all together, we can apply for more grants. And there are also grants that support grant making. I think they might be harder to find, but there might be ways to support our grant making budget with grants from other organizations. All right, any thoughts on that? Any immediate ideas of where we can find more money?
I have an old list of grantors, arts grantors,
Okay.
that I will do some follow-up research on to see what's still out there, because it's 4 or 5 years old. But I know that some of them work specifically collaborative grants with municipalities and arts organizations. So I'll check into that again, and take a look at those. Do we, from the grants that we provide, we get follow-up information from the grantors? Is that correct? Okay. And does that include numbers as to participants in those? Because we ask them approximately how many participants or how many people they think will be participating.
Right.
Do we get those follow-up numbers? Because that would be a way to track what we're giving to the commission or to the council.
Yeah, so that has not been mandatory as part of the follow-up report. It, I I'd have to go back and look through the follow-up reports, but I'm sure on some of them that information has been reported, but it hasn't been mandated that it be reported. So if you want to look into, maybe at some point redefining your requirements for those post reports.
I know it would be hard for some
Yeah.
things like the Bangor Authors event, because they're going to have people, it's a free event and people are coming in, same
We
with
actually count who
But-
walks through the door.
what they do. And, a lot of them, like PTC and some theater company, it's ticket sales. So they have a pretty concrete number for those. Might be good to try and, even if they don't provide it initially, follow up and ask them if they have those numbers available.
That might be a good thing for the grants committee to take a look at what is currently required
Mhm.
and see if we'd like to make a change. We can. We could probably present it as maybe not a requirement to know an exact number, to report an exact number, but a strong encouragement because it helps support us to give them more money.
Right.
So they would have an incentive to try to share some of those numbers with us.
Of course, that would have to be carefully worded because if it's for an art installation, you don't know how many
Right.
people view.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And that's why I don't think it should be a requirement in the reporting, but I think it is something we should call out specifically.
Strongly suggest.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that would be helpful.
again, even if they don't provide it, we could even ask the follow-up question. And if they don't have it because it's an art installation or something like that, then obviously that's not going to preclude them from being granted awards in the future. It's just something that's helpful for us.
All right. Cool. Any other thoughts?
I just was wondering, I know like downtown has where they track their marketing, how many people hit their website and this and that, like with all these different events that we give grants to, there's got to be a way to track like how many people looked at that event online to see, and then because the people come in, you don't just come in for a show, you're going to get dinner, maybe drinks afterwards. And, it's bringing that to the downtown area into the city. So if there's a way to like collaborate with that and show the council like that these are not just events that we're helping fund, but it's also bringing in, and
Yeah.
that from that data that, I know they have from their online marketing, like we could maybe share that with them and show that, this is, look at how many people are clicking on this and are, it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
just my thought.
Right, and
Yeah.
organizations will all have tracking on their websites, but I agree, the connection to Downtown Mega Partnership and how they track more of the tourism impact also, and like, I'm sure they have some numbers about like how many people stay in town, how many people eat in town when there's an event happening.
And there are numbers associated with that, on average, people who come into town to see a show at PTC are spending this much on dinner and, this much on drinks afterward and all of that kind of information that you can actually put dollar values on those items as well.
Yeah. Presenting that more clearly to the council will help support our request.
And I think they can, just from being the liaison to those meetings, I think they can even tell like the people that are clicking, if they're from this area, they're from out of this area, they're from Boston, they're from New York. I mean, they can tell where these people are from too. It's really neat.
Yeah.
Ann and I did a talk at a chamber breakfast in the middle of October that went into all of that kind of data. Alex Gray still was there. You know, the three of us were on a panel speaking exactly to that. It kind of came together quickly, and I don't know if everyone knew about it, but I mean, I think the numbers were like 3 to 1, meaning, you know, every dollar in ticket sales that goes to BSO, Scott Theater, or some theater company results in $3 spent by people in the local area. But about 40% of the people coming to the area, including the waterfront, are coming from the kind of outside of our region. It was more 5 to 1. And everyone seems to be accepting those numbers. So, you know, once someone's accepted those numbers, then hopefully they have to kind of support those numbers, I think is the hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't I make a folder I have a Google Drive with stuff that everybody I think has access to. I can make a folder to start budget planning for next year. And if you have any thoughts or any data or any points of research, you can drop it in that folder. I'll share the link later today.
Do we have time? Can I ask another question
Yeah,
related to all that?
sure.
So, you know, like when you go to our website, you know, prior to even me being here, there was a study that must have been commissioned by the city, the Arts and Economic Prosperity, that's quite old now, like 2014. Has there been dialogue in the past about doing that again at this level or at the city level?
I don't know anything about it myself, but I can certainly follow up with Anne because she might know.
Last week too. I mean, it's one of the few things posted you know, on our commission site. This Arts and Economic Prosperity piece, but you know, those numbers are, you know, ancient at this point. They're from 2014. And then, you know, a follow up to that has, and this is more for Sarah. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No, you're fine.
So, like when I came on the commission, I think Ann provided, and it was reasonably easy to find. There were like A to like R in the alphabet of like all of these, you know, whatever that is, 21 kind of priorities of the commission. Like, wow, you know, because some of them were pretty big things. I don't see that much anymore, and I'm not necessarily looking for it, Sarah, but then you go to our site and see things like strategic objectives, and we have like 8. And so ultimately the question is, has the city council or some version of the city been kind of like redefining our objectives? Are these new objectives? Have they always been there? I just haven't seen them.
I believe those objectives have been in place for quite some time, but
I gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't, just because I hadn't seen it doesn't mean it's new. It's always the possibility somebody recreated something.
And the website is ever changing, so.
That might be a good thing to look at maybe for our January meeting. I think. Are you terming up? No.
I am
You're terming
And
up.
that's what I wanted to ask Sarah. When is my last meeting? Is this my last meeting?
No, December, I think. Well, let me triple check that, but.
Been here a long time.
Yeah. Miss you. But that also means we might have some new members, so that would be something good to bring up at the start of January to just kind of set the tone and reaffirm what we're trying to do here. All right.
Another question eventually. Is there going to be an opportunity for that?
We've got 8 minutes. Yeah.
Sorry to do that, everybody, but I think for exciting reasons. So like when I look at those things, you know, like one is provide accessible, like we have 8 strategic objectives. One is provide accessible, multi-purpose, year-round venues for small productions. And that's where a lot of my passion is. Like when you see like some theater company operating out of a mall that's vulnerable, $10, same thing. You know, most of the dance troupes in town, you know, saying they're vulnerable in terms of their space. Penobscot Theater's like youth dramatic academies in that spot. So like, I mean, I think we really could use multi-purpose space. I'm sure the Arts Society could use it. So it's interesting to see that there. So then the question, and again, you know, Sarah's going to hate me today.
No.
Understand that like the city the council's approved some kind of tax increment financing going into next year that would be accessible to arts organizations. Is that
I think some research is still being done on exactly what that funding can be used for. That sort of general category has been opened up, but there are still very specific parameters within that category that I think we're still trying to work through with our legal department on what that actually means. But yes, that is something that we're actively working on so that we have a better idea of exactly what kind of things that money could potentially be used for under that arts category.
But, I mean, it's fair to say there's an appetite at the council level to potentially make that available on the arts side, or is that not clear yet?
I think that's not clear yet. Yeah.
Sundance, I think part of the thinking for that was, we were worried because downtown buildings were being sold, and that made artist galleries and musicians spaces that were often on the top floors of those buildings vulnerable. We worried about that, and we wanted the city to really look into, we wanted to be a moving force for that.
Well, like we lost BAE.
Right.
exactly what you're
Which
talking about.
is a huge loss.
And so that was the genesis of asking, the commission was asking.
That's why we made it up.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, okay.
I'm still trying to win the mega bucks so that I can just create one of these
Oh,
Yeah. A nonprofit arts.
Me too, but shy.
Or-
that has places, gallery space and teaching space and, yes, performance space. I'm telling you, I have it all in my
Out of
head.
the old library.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
mega bucks.
I'll join your board.
Like, we could have.
Yes,
volunteers
music
to-
lessons and
So it's a
right.
maybe, but it's in consideration.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fine.
We have staff updates on that.
Well, you kind of already covered it. My only staff update was just to confirm that your grant application was submitted last week for the Pickering Square project. So that was it.
All right. We do still have 5 minutes. Any other questions, thoughts, ideas?
something that you had said when you said you'd share a folder. Do we have any concerns about FOA with regards to sharing personal folders?
If you are just sharing materials in that folder and there's no like email communications or discussion about those materials happening, and then if you decide to have a discussion about any of those same materials are brought to a public meeting and I can put them in a public meeting packet, then no, I think you're fine. So that's what I would just be careful of, is using it strictly as sort of a digital storage space and nothing else. And then when a determination is made that anything that you're sharing in there should be put on an agenda to be discussed, just let me know and send me those materials, and then it'll all be public.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just don't want you to suddenly have to give your entire email over to a FOA request.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, cool. Anything else?
I had a question. Did you, this was a question I sent, I put you in touch with Wendy Dan from the
Yes.
Penobscot County Commission. Did you get a chance to speak with her?
I did email with her. She didn't think that they had any grants that were applicable.
Were applicable.
Yes. They still have some ARPA money they're giving away. We don't qualify for that.
Got it.
And then there's some other specific funding at the county level, but it wasn't anything that we would. Yeah.
So I just left the county. Wendy and I worked together. So, yes, so
There was,
something.
the Arts Society got a grant for their event
Mhm.
from the county. And so Ben put me in touch with Wendy to see if there's any other funding or any other grants they have coming up. Might be something we could apply to, and it didn't sound like she had anything.
Yeah, the funds are definitely dwindling.
Has anyone looked up that like East Maine Development Corp handles more regional grants?
No.
No, I went to a thing last year at Husson that, they were talking about, recreational grants for the area, so I wonder.
Yeah.
Smart.
Does Hope work at the Eastern Maine Development Corp?
Yes, she does.
Okay. Okay, can talk to her, see if she's got any insight.
She just got back in town.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, right, anything that we should look into, I think is worth looking into. I think we're gonna have to apply for a lot of grants to get some grants. It's kind of a numbers game. We're not gonna receive every grant we apply to, and so the more we see that we might be able to apply for, and also the more grants we apply for, the easier it is to apply for grants, because we'll have a lot of the documentation, we'll have a lot of the stuff that you need to submit ready to go. So each time it's easier. All right. In that case, nothing else? 1 minute left.